Molly Lenty, how are you?
I'm good.
Good,
Really good.
Thank you for coming. Here we are.
Absolutely.
You're running for mayor of Garden City.
I
God bless
am.
America. We have our coffee. Look, we're twinsies on the mugs.
We do.
That's very exciting. Listen, a lot of things. Why mayor of Garden City?
Yeah. I've ran for office and currently serve in a publicly elected role where I've been able to help shape an institution here across the valley for almost the last 8 years. And also with a lot of the work that I've done, I spent 25 years as vice president of government and community relations for a corporate bank responsible for a 5-state region. So I've worked a lot in this space, but I never envisioned myself as a mayor. That was never, on my list of things that I really felt like I wanted to accomplish. But I do think that there is a really important time right now in Garden City, in the way that Garden City is growing and the opportunities that are ahead of the leader of the city. And in looking at, Mayor Evans, who has been there for 20 years, has done a phenomenal job in running the city, one of the most fiscally well-run cities that we have in our state. He's done a really good job through the years to help bring the city to where it's at. But with the amount of growth that we're experiencing, with the new elements that are being introduced into our city, we really need to have an innovative, strategic, dynamic leader to help guide the city, especially over the next 4 years. And so, when I looked at Mayor Evans retiring and I looked at the opportunity and the need that the city had, I was compelled to help be a part of the solution.
That is a comprehensive answer, I have to say. Garden City is really unique in that it's couched between obviously Boise and Meridian and Eagle, and it also has this super just organic culture developing within it. I had Moya from the Wine Council.
Oh yeah,
really
love
enjoyed.
Moya.
She's the best. And she was telling me all about the different, winery options and tasting rooms in Garden City. And then, of course, you have breweries. Oh, you lost. I had a pig guy, had a meat guy, Gem State Packing.
Oh,
God, man, he's the person I got my pig from. It was very unfortunate. Then they're gone. But you have, these industries and offerings that seemingly have a concentration that is unique to Garden City. You also have this interesting pocket of still attainable housing, surrounded by places that are just skyrocketing in price. And talk to me about all of how do you maintain that culture while still establishing a better economic foothold? You're obviously drawing in people from outside the area. Moya was the biggest salesperson ever for Garden City. I wanted to go and get some wine. I'm not even a wine drinker, but I was I want to go listen to a concert and drink wine out on a grass somewhere. Sounds great. You have all of these things. You also still have just a lifestyle that's really cool and kind of just unique to it. So how do you manage growth and maintain attainable housing, maintain the cultural feel of Garden City? Hit me with all of it.
All of the things that you just said, plus I think one of the main things that Garden City has the opportunity to address is a shared vision around who the city wants to be. Create a shared nomenclature of the things that are really important to each of the unique areas of the city. You mentioned that we are one of the only cities that are we're right in between the valley. We are the only landlocked city across the Treasure Valley. So the decisions that are being made within Garden City really need to be with a broader viewpoint, knowing that the other cities are growing into us in a lot of different ways. We've got some really, really special qualities in each of ours. I think about it 3 different areas of the city. So we've got the East End. They've identified themselves at the East End. You've got the West End. And where I live, we don't even call ourselves the West End. And then you've got north of the river. And there's really no shared vision or shared nomenclature around who Garden City is. And I think that that's really important for us to first establish that in order to set the stage and build the vision and create a North Star for who we want to become. On the East End especially, there's so much work that we've seen, so much growth that's taken place. And as you mentioned, the wineries, I know Moya, she was, when she first, I think I met her right when she moved here to Boise, and to see what, through her leadership, what she's been able to do with the Idaho Wine Commission and, supporting the tasting rooms that are in Garden City, that truly is a special area, especially from a business community perspective, to draw people in from not just all over the valley, but from outside of the state as well. We've also got the number of breweries. There are just as many breweries in Garden City as there are in Boise.
Can I tell you something?
Yes.
I have not been able to ingest gluten for it's so bad, since I was 35. And I'm not even a huge beer drinker, but I loved me some watermelon IPA or some Sculpin IPA, right? Can't have any of that. And I just did an interview with Dr. Peter Abrams, who runs a clinic downtown that helps with allergies and autoimmune stuff. I'm going to take his treatment, whatever it is. I will do anything, and I am going to go ham on some of the breweries in Garden City, because I can't, I've heard about this. And again, I'm not a huge drinker, so it's not that big a problem, but I really enjoy tasting different beers. And the sours came on, a decade ago. It's all of these different things. I want to go check it out. Right. Yeah. I'm very excited about that.
The whole community around craft brewing.
Right.
It's amazing. And we've got such a great community in Garden City that is focused on craft brewing.
Yeah.
And it truly is a resource and an asset to the city. So I think being able to wrap our arms around that. We've got Visit Garden City group that does a lot of work to ensure that they're bringing resources, visitors to understand all of the different offerings that Garden City has. I think Garden City has the potential to become a destination city, especially with what we've seen with soccer starting, with the sports complex that's happening over at Expo Idaho. We know what sports can do for a community, and I'm thinking about the city of Caldwell. And when President Henberg, the former president at that time, when he brought back football to the College of Idaho, how that completely transformed that city. It laid the foundation for Indian Creek and the Urban Renewal District and all of the work that they did in that space to really create the vibrant community that Caldwell has become. We've got that same opportunity in Garden City. And we need to look at each of the three areas of Garden City first so we can identify what we need to preserve and that's important to those areas. East End, talked about the breweries, we talked about the wineries,
right.
But we've got so much growth that's happening there. And we've got developers and builders that want to come in and create a really unique, cool place to live, where we do have the opportunity for young professionals, young families, retirees, the full gamut,
sure,
to live and prosper together. One of the issues that we have found over on the East End is some of the zoning restrictions. And I know in the past, the city has tried to do a zoning overlay specifically on the East End, and that didn't go as well as planned.
This is the part where I pretend like I know what a zoning overlay is. Can you?
Sure,
okay.
Absolutely. So for certain parts of the city, I'll use the East End as an example. They may want, so the builders and the residents, they may agree that they want certain types of offerings in that area. So we know about zoning restrictions, right? Like standard building height, number of properties
sure.
on right. It's all of that plus what does it mean for parking? What does it mean for pathways, pedestrians, active transportation? What does it mean for the businesses? How many parking spots are they required to maintain? The current zoning, as we see across the city, restricts some of the ability of the East End to develop in an intentional, thoughtful way that they align with. What's right for the West End is different than the East End. And it's not just the standard zoning of properties on land. It's much more than that. It's a planned community type of a perspective. with a lot of the growth that we're seeing and interest in that area with rising home prices and land prices, we also are risking gentrification on the East End and moving out some of the affordable housing, where I think that we need to find creative solutions to maintain that.
I think you mean attainable housing.
I love that terminology.
Yeah,
not everybody sees it that way.
Because affordable housing, I think, is properly designated as, like you have an income threshold, and it's generally something wrapped in with a developer. Like you're going to create 10% of or 15% of the condos as affordable, and you're going to regulate all these things. Like, no, attainable. Nobody's regulating who can buy or can't buy, but we need things that people can attain in pursuit of housing. Am I accurate
you
on
are
that?
Absolutely right. You have the real life, terminology of affordable housing really is attainable housing.
Sure. Yeah.
From a funding perspective, and a lot of the programs that reside, whether they're through, a lot of national programs or federal grants or things that other cities are leveraging to create those incentives, to create those offsets for developers to consider building in a way that promotes attainable housing, as well as some of the higher end housing that promotes or contributes to the tax base and contributes to business prosperity and all of the things that we really appreciate when we think about a thriving community. There are so many ways that we can bring in resources and planning and creativity and work together collaboratively to identify, what do we want the East End to be? What could it be? Instead of just allowing things to reactively happen. If we are not having these conversations, we know we need a new comprehensive plan at this city. But if we go through a standard way of putting together a comprehensive plan, I think that we're missing a lot of the creativity and the collaboration and deciding who we can be. Looking at other cities that for the East End, we would want to potentially emulate and bring in some of those quality experiences, dining venues, really create the destination city that Garden City can be. With sports, it's absolutely coming. It is absolutely coming. It's coming down our Greenbelts. It's coming down Shindon. It's coming down Glenwood. It's going to create the growth that is going to happen whether the city wraps their arms around it or not. So I would much rather help bring people together and grab the reins on helping to build that understanding and that shared belief and that North Star. Now, that's just for the East End. We've got other opportunities on the West End. I think that, north of the river.
May I ask a quick question?
Sure.
What does all of that mean? Oh my God, sorry for my ignorance, but when discussing this, it's like, hey, look, we need to collaborate and we need to bring people together and we need to be intentional and we need to, grab people that are coming through, because you do have a large, like I drive down and through Garden City all the time because I have a studio downtown as well.
Yeah.
So I'm transporting myself through that area and so for everything you're saying, it's like, okay, we need to keep growing, but we can't gentrify. We need zoning overlays. We need partners, like nuts and bolts. Sure. I'm a simple guy. Help me understand.
Yep. No, I love it. And I'm so glad you asked that. And I'll take you back a little bit with some of my experience that brings me to this thought process and to where I see the vision for Garden City. So I've served 2 publicly elected terms on the College of Western Idaho as a trustee of the board. Just completed my 2nd term as chair of the board. And as part of my leadership in that capacity, we knew that the college needed to grow. We knew we were growing out of our classrooms. We were in some leased spaces that weren't, fiscally, frankly, they weren't fiscally responsible for taxpayer dollars. We needed to create some solutions. But we just kept spinning our wheels, and our operations team would come to us and say, okay, here we are, we're signing contracts again on this lease space. It's going to cost us this much more this year. And we're also not being able to grow the programs in the ways that workforce needs. So when I became chair, I said, enough, we're done spinning wheels. We can't waste any more time. We need to commission a visioning process. And so our executive vice president over operations at the time went forth on that. And we sat and we brainstormed, and it needed to be comprehensive in a way that first we identified who are all the stakeholders that we need to have at the table? And what does the table look like? Is it just a survey? No, it can't just be a survey.
Right.
It's got to be much more engaging and interactive and multiple viewpoints and thoughts, and include our provost and our academic community from a perspective of who are we now and who do we need to grow to be based on the needs of our business community, based on the needs of our growing community, and bring all of that information together in a cohesive and comprehensive way that then something could be presented to the board where we felt we had enough information to make decisions on. And so now you see the growth over at the Nampa campus. It took a lot of work to get that figured out, took a lot of work to get that funded. You see the expansion that's going to be happening at the Whitewater Park. And I chaired the design build committee as we went through that process of identifying what's the right dynamic of that space to ensure that first and foremost, we're creating the opportunities that are a priority, which is students near the downtown corridor in a learning environment that is conducive and a really dynamic place that can be something that we haven't even had vision around yet, creating that North Star. And so we put out an RFP, and it was really interesting. We had local design build teams. We had out-of-state design build teams that had done really cool stuff with other colleges and universities elsewhere in the country. But what was really important to me and what was important to our committee was that we weren't just choosing a plug and play that fit that footprint, that we needed to ensure that the plan that we adopted and that we wanted to get behind and recommend to the board was something that was cohesive to the existing environment. There's so much infrastructure, so much investment that's taken place along the Greenbelt right there. People love going to Quinns Pond. We needed to ensure that what we were building was conducive to maintaining that same experience and the values that people, regardless of where they resided, people that were participating in that area of the Greenbelt and across the Greenbelt and Garden City, that it would be all the things that we wanted to be. And yeah.
May I, I love that vision for education. Like, I'm actually really bullish with education in that I think with as much turmoil as we've experienced nationally around our public education system, it is forcing the articulation of like, what's the value proposition? Because like, if you're like, I was born in the early 80s, right? And as I went through time, especially high school and everything, they're like, oh, like college is the only answer, right? Like, you got to go to college, and fine. Like, I'm happy that I went to college, fine. But there was no like, hey, you have to go to college because. And even when I got into college, I remember the first couple weeks of school, I remember this guy, Hans. Hans was like, so where do you want to go to grad school? I'm like, what? Like, I just got here. Like, what do you mean? And again, it was like, oh, well, you have to go to grad school or else college is not of value. A friend of mine, Zach Hansen, who wrote a book recently on trades in general, said when he got there, he graduated from college, undergraduate, and the job market was so bad. He's like, well, I'll just go back to college.
Yeah.
And just went back to college. But again, it's like, for what? What are we doing here? But
exactly.
The idea of bringing forth stakeholders, both people, it's like you have the business community and the economic world that needs certain things out of everybody employed there. Right. And then you have individuals going into looking to education as a solution. They're like, I need to be something different than I am because I don't have what the community needs me to offer right now. And there's this great segue of like, okay, come here because at the end of this, there are the businesses over here that need these people and you're right here. And we are the pathway through that so you can become whatever it is that you want to become and that they need. But there's that value proposition of we have a direction. It's not just like come here just because. It's no. This is pragmatic. We're functional.
And also in an elected office, the obligation to the taxpayer. The obligation to the community to create an environment that is affordable, to maintain affordability for students, but also affordability for residents. And so that was really, really important to us, not only that it fit cohesively with that area, but in spending the time to create that North Star as a committee, we unanimously made the recommendation, agreed on the recommendation to the board. And the way that I lead, as chair and as mayor, I'm always going to make the last vote. Might not even need to vote, right? Hopefully the rest of the leadership is aligned and that I'm not needing to weigh in. But as chair of the board of trustees at CWI, I ensured that my voice and my vote was always last. And so I was really proud that once the recommendation from the design build committee came forward to the board, it was unanimous. Everyone was on board with the vision and the selection that we made. And I'm really excited about the opportunity that we have there. It was a really comprehensive capital stack as well, and going back and forth. And I strongly believe in public-private partnerships. And I've seen ways that there have been really, really successful examples of that across the country and here locally in Idaho, here locally in the Valley,
Right.
where we can offset the cost to the taxpayers and let private industry help balance that.
Right.
And I think for a lot of the needs in Garden City, there's going to be opportunities that surface around that. You know, moving people north-south across Shindon. A bridge is really expensive. There's been a lot of work done to look at what are the opportunities there. We know that we need one now, but we're going to need one even more when we've got sports in play. You know, we've got the first match in March. That's exciting. That the soccer club here in Boise is outselling tickets in comparison to all other clubs that have started in other states across the country. So there's definitely a demand and an interest. And these are going to be people that are coming through Garden City in order to enjoy soccer. So we need to embrace that and really treat it as an asset. You know, common belief is...
And if I may close the loop, is
sure.
What essentially the conversation around CWI and what you guys have done relates to, hey, look, what the comprehensive plan with overlays, with all this, what that means is we identify stakeholders. We identify people that need things out of the community. We have, you know, homeowners, we have businesses, we have all of these people that live here, and they are the city, right? And we need to identify with them, what do you need? What's the utility out of this area? What shall we avoid? What hurts you? What helps you? But bring those people in, not just with like a survey, but genuinely, okay, like we need to have a better conversation, because then collectively, you know, as more information comes in, we can aggregate the information and start getting a vision of like, okay, stay away from there. This looks a little bit better. This probably serves us in the near term, but this would serve us in the long run. This may take a little bit more capital, but we won't be bleeding money here, blah, 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 and put it all together. Yep. Then engage people, developers predominantly, that have the capacity to build these things and create partnerships, you know, like Boise does very clearly. They create public-private partnerships where they perhaps own a lot and they work with developers, and they're like, look, we'll lease you the lot. I'm not suggesting this, but they're like, they lease them the developer a lot for $1 a year. The developer builds a development with these different things, and there are incentives along the way. But then all of a sudden it's like, okay, great. Everybody gets what they need. Boise had this lot. It wasn't doing any good for anyone. It wasn't decreasing housing costs because it wasn't supplying more housing. It wasn't, you know, providing a spot for the mom and pop coffee shop or whatever coffee you want. It wasn't benefiting people. So the stakeholders get the benefit of that development. The developer gets the benefit of having the capacity to develop there. Everybody wins.
Absolutely. Gotcha. And when you engage
and
in
I'm announcing my candidacy.
Perfect. Oh my gosh. You heard it here first, folks.
Could you imagine if, like, I invited people in and then used it as my campaign announcement? I'd get all of the people I'd get everybody in the same place in the same day. So all of the interviews went out that day, so nobody was able to warn each other of, like, I announced candidacy.
I'm going to tell you, and I've learned this even more recently, plagiarism is real. It does happen.
Oh my gosh,
that's the hard part of campaigning, I'll tell you. You've got all these great ideas, right? And you want to talk about everything, but then your ideas all of a sudden turn up, you know, with somebody else,
right.
You know, waving that flag. So
that's why you got to scream it the loudest the first time. So everybody's like, oh, she already said that. Or like, oh, he already had that idea. Just a thought. Anyway, I'm sorry.
I'm really good at being patient. So maybe that's not a good campaign strategy, but I'm really good at being patient. I love bringing all the voices to the table. I think that's really important, because if you can bring all of that, just like you said, if you can bring all of that to the table and you have a shared North Star, you have shared nomenclature that is surfaced through the process, it makes it easier not only to say yes to things, but it makes it much more clear which things don't align. And if everybody can see that on the forefront, the type of requests and the type of opportunities that surface are aligned. There's also other things in a public-private partnership that can provide additional amenities like open space, parks. We can't just be residential neighborhoods. We can't just be business entities. We need to identify, is that something that the East End wants? And if so, what does it look like? How would it be conducive to the living and the working that we have there? So there's a lot of that. I get so excited about thinking about the opportunity just even in that area. And then you've got south of Shindon, you've got west of Glenwood, you've got north of the river, and they've done so much work already north of the river with the River Club and the expansion there. And trust me, I've talked to more people that live over in that area, and everyone has an opinion, right? You can't, it's like Boise State football. You can't live here and not have an opinion on whether you like the team or not.
I have no opinion.
Oh,
but
what do you do on game days?
I do not honor other people's heroic journeys, especially a 20-year-old. Like, I have my own journey I'm on. I've never watched professional sports. I do my own sports.
Well, okay, we'll have to talk more about that.
I can't get into it. I don't care. You don't follow my career. I'm not following your career. Like, I have my own problems I'm trying to solve.
So this goes back to my belief around how
I'm not
community.
A joiner. I'm not a joiner.
We did talk about that.
I'm not a joiner.
We did talk about that.
It's not that I don't believe in clubs. I just don't join clubs. I'm not the person who's like, I want to be part of X, Y, or Z. Like, that's not me.
I have found the one agnostic Treasure Valley resident that doesn't have an opinion.
I don't have an opinion.
Which I respect that. I respect that decision.
You. I do have blue curtains. Like, that helps, right? And people can, like, listen, people already hate me. It's fine. Like, it's not my thing.
So to my point, it's really hard.
It's really hard. Not impossible, just harder.
To go to the grocery store on an away game day,
sure.
Because you've got blue and orange everywhere and people in their shirts, and you go out to eat at a restaurant, and it's everywhere. So it's really hard, especially as I'm talking to people in, disparate parts of the city. Everyone's got an opinion. I love that. One of the first things that we did in my campaign, and I love my campaign team. They're wonderful. I've worked with them in the past. They know that I will only run a positive campaign. It's got to be visionary. It's got to be positive. It's got to be really thoughtful. But we sent out just an introduction. Hi, I'm Molly.
Right.
I'd like to be the mayor of Garden City. And
did you say it just like that?
Well, that's in my head. That's the way it sounded when I saw the image.
With the pauses.
And frankly, I didn't love the image. And they were just like, Molly, you just got it's fine. You just, be friendly. I'm like, but I'm smart. I have all these ideas. And I went and they're like, no, just introduce yourself. So we sent out a little introduction to all of the registered voters in Garden City. Typically, there are 0 responses. It might be, hey, don't contact me again. The amount of responses that I had from residents, it took me over 3 hours to respond to. People had really thoughtful questions. And I was able to reach back out and say, hey, let's meet. Let's grab a coffee. Let's do a forum. I want to learn. Because I think that we need to surface all of those thoughts in order to get us to what I was talking about with a shared vision. We can't be everything to everyone. We can't boil the ocean, but we can identify those core components that are going to be the tenets of what we decide to grow into, because we're growing. Growth is absolutely happening in Garden City, and it's happening to Garden City. So my whole thought about the next 4 years and the critical timing of ensuring that if we don't have a forward-thinking leader, if we don't have a dynamic leader that can build a coalition, that can have the relationships outside of just the city boundaries, because that's going to be necessary. If it's somebody that doesn't have the relationships with the business community, then we're going to be coming in with a very narrow vision for the future of who we can be. It's got to be somebody that's there to listen and learn, understand the direction, and then ensure that they are reaching out and creating the solutions that the city and the residents and the businesses really want.
Talk to me about some other aspects. Obviously, economic development, all cultural. Talk to me about, basic service like law enforcement. Garden City, has a very specific history with law enforcement and incarceration rates and things of that nature.
Right.
Is Garden City Police Department supported enough? Are they supported too much? Do you need more? Do you need less?
I'll tell you, I'm a huge supporter of law enforcement, huge supporter of the first responder community. The way I kind of accidentally found myself in politics was volunteering alongside the fire union on a number of campaigns. Actually led a school district bond and levy campaign as a parent that got involved. That could be a whole other story about accidental leadership, where just happened to be the person in the room and everyone's kind of looking around and it's like
who's doing it?
Okay, I guess I'll do it.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to learn how to do it. I'll figure it out. And every time it's been wonderful. But to your point, to your question, huge supporter of law enforcement. In my first campaign at CWI, it was really important as a new candidate. I met with the Fraternal Order of Police, and they endorsed my campaign. And CWI runs a post academy. A lot of people don't realize that. So we've got a phenomenal director right now, Rick Allen, who used to be the police chief in Garden City. He was the chief for about 30 years, doing a phenomenal job over at CWI. We have, police is the largest line item on the Garden City budget. There have been a lot of resources that have been invested in Garden City PD. We are running an incredibly difficult job with so many of the disparate communities that we talked about, with a small number of officers in the force. I think we're right around 27. I think it's less than 30, I believe. And they've got a hard job. They're dealing with a lot, especially when it's the Western Idaho Fair, when we've got concerts, when we've got, the amount of traffic that we have coming down Shinden on any given day at any given time. I believe that the police department should be adequately funded. I believe that they should have the resources that they need in order to perform their jobs. And I think resources can come in a number of different ways, beyond just funding from the city itself. But there are ways that city leadership can wrap their arms around police and fire. And I'm really excited about exploring a lot of those. But I think the important part is not getting ahead of that. It's sitting down with the police chief and with the leadership team and saying, what do you really need? All right, let's brainstorm. Let's figure it out. Might be further partnership with surrounding cities. It might be grants for specific resources. It might be piloting something really innovative. There's so many different ways to look at that. So I want to ensure that our police department is well resourced in all areas of that facet.
Gotcha. And do you think at the current level, do you think currently it's well resourced, or are you just thinking maintaining it?
I think that's a conversation, sitting down with the chief and talking through that and seeing where there's some shared thoughts around that. I'm a big proponent for law enforcement, but I think that it's got to be that collaborative conversation. I think the relationship.
You also have to be conscious of taxpayer dollars.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep. And that's why I talked about well-resourced can mean a number of different things.
Sure.
Beyond just the city budget. But I think the mayor and the chief and, each of the leaders of respective departments in a city, they've got to have a great relationship. They've got to be able to sit across the table, have some difficult conversations, and work together on identifying the solutions. It's a tough job. It is not, there's a lot of areas that are extremely difficult for our law enforcement community. And I think having a leader that understands that is really important for any community.
Yeah. We have talked about a lot of things.
Yeah.
My goodness. Is there anything big that we're hanging out on at this point?
I think one of the greatest assets that we have, we talked about sports coming to Garden City, but we also have the Greenbelt. I would be remiss if we didn't talk about the Greenbelt. The varied uses of the Greenbelt, again, Garden City being the one landlocked city in the valley, we've got a lot of people that traverse through Garden City, whether it's along state, whether it's Shinden, or it's also the Greenbelt. And so I think understanding what active transportation means for Garden City and our neighboring communities, and ensuring that we are, as a leadership across those cities, having those conversations to identify, okay, who needs to use the Greenbelt? What does safety look like in all aspects? We're very fortunate. It takes me about 30 seconds to ride my bike to the Greenbelt, maybe in a minute and a half by foot. And, I like to do walks in the morning occasionally. Enjoy it. We do bike rides over to the East End, maybe to the Riverside for dinner. We love our Greenbelt. And I want to make sure that we're taking into consideration all uses of our residents, as well as residents in our neighboring communities that are utilizing it as well. I think that Greenbelt usage is going to go up. So I think we need to get ahead of that and be thinking about, okay, what does that mean? And what are the unintended consequences or unintended impacts that can take place if we're not getting ahead of that?
Gotcha. Yeah, I had Jimmy Halliburton from Boise City Council on yesterday, and we were talking about the Greenbelt and paths and multi-use transportation, things like that, extensively, because that's a big piece of what Boise does as well.
I know that's a big area of passion for him. City politics, it's nonpartisan. I think having people be able to have those relationships and in every certain facet and background is extremely important. I have had some brief conversations with Jimmy in my prior role when I was Vice President of Government and Community Relations, worked closely with Jimmy in the Boise Bicycle Project and seeing the impact that program had for the Boise community. But I appreciate that he's thinking beyond just the city boundaries and really considering what does this mean for all of our residents, especially those that participate in active transportation, to ensure that we're thinking comprehensively. Because if one city is making a decision, but they're not working hand in hand with the next city over, does it really impact their residents positively? It's much broader than that.
No. Molly, we've done a lot here.
We have.
We've done a lot. I appreciate you. I really want to spend more time in Garden City. It is one, God, fingers crossed. I can kick the gluten allergy and go out there and get like pizza and beer and experience more of the culture there. Because again, I have had recent experiences where, there were events and I've been to the Riverside Hotel several times. And again, things around there, it's like, wow, man, this is a really cool place. And it's cool to see that, again, you have people that are really concerned about it. It's like, okay, let's figure out how to maintain this atmosphere, maintain the culture. Because so many of the conversations, from Star to Eagle to Meridian, it's like, okay, we've had this explosion and people are kind of reeling, trying to engage with like, okay, but how do we hold on to these things that made Star? How do we hold on to the things that made, Middleton? Like, how do you do that? And again, it sounds like you're very concerned about that with Garden City as well.
I've got great relationships with city leaders in all of our cities that surround us. And I think it's having those conversations with them where there have been some of those hurdles. Okay, what did you do? Right. What were some resources that you leveraged? And I choose to believe that we all want each other to win. And so how can we work together in order to ensure that? I also want to tell you, Matt, that I too am gluten avoidant.
Oh, gluten avoidant.
So I'm going to give you a list of all of the places in Garden City that are gluten-friendly, including breweries that have seltzers and...
No, listen to me. Stop it with the seltzers.
We got to meet in the middle.
No. I do not like cough syrupy. Get out of here with your hard kombucha. Like, I don't like the seltzer movement. It's fine. My buddy even has one. Like, he made one and he's like, this is with real vodka. It's like with spirits. It's not, corn alcohol. It's like... It's fine. It's fine. Like, you want your White Claw, you want your Truly, you want your like High Noon, you want your whatever. It's like, fine. At some point, I just want a beer.
All right. Well, then at least, okay, I will tell you that.
Why don't we have breweries that brew gluten-free beer? Those exist.
I think this could be a topic for one of your next podcasts.
I think
because I too think that there would be absolute opportunity for that. I will tell you, Ling and Louie's menu, mostly gluten-free.
Ling and Louie's? Is this Italian?
No, it's right there at the Riverside Hotel.
I don't eat there.
It is really good. It's locally owned. Menu is phenomenal. Most of the menu is gluten-free. And then across the street at Black Moon Pizza, they've got a gluten-free pizza too.
Oh,
I know we can't make you all the way happy, but we can meet in the middle and destination Garden City.
Or just, okay, like, here's the thing. Just like if I'm going to, if there will never exist gluten-free beer, then I'll just enjoy some wine. Right. Or like whatever, man.
Perfect.
Like what was it? The Stagecoach Winery? Yeah. I went.
Well, the restaurant, Stagecoach restaurant.
No, what's the one right next to it? There's Stage something.
There's Talaya right down.
No, there's a thing. I was there at an event. I'm screwing this up. It's like black. It's on the corner. It's really nice.
Proletariat. We've got Cinder.
Is something with a horse?
Yeah.
We
need to get you back over there.
God, I was just there. It was great.
I'm going to call Moya and we're going to get you on a little
I'm going to ping
tour.
this. I'm going to ping this. I'm going to find out what it was, because I'm telling you right now, I really enjoyed going there, and it was fantastic. It was I was there for the thing. There was like an event there.
We're going to get you on a greenbelt ride, and we're going to do a little stop into all the gluten-free spots.
Listen,
have you try a seltzer?
Try a seltzer. Wait. Here it comes. We went to Split Rail.
Oh yeah, Split Rail is amazing.
Split Rail nailed it.
Right.
I was like, this is really good. I'm so happy to be. It was like this large event, and they had, great food, and the wine was great. And yeah, people were drinking beers, not this guy. They had great, like cool little sitting areas.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the kind of movement around having like different little spaces. Like there's that room in there with the funny pictures with like the two ladies hanging out the car, like one of them slipping. You know what I'm talking about, right? There's like a couch in there. I just went in there because I was trying to like eat this chicken, because it was like these chicken on kebabs, and I very, ignorantly poured all the sauce on them without taking the kebab off the thing, and I didn't get a fork. So then I was like, I can't even eat this. Like so I go and sit down to like eat this little plate of food, because I'm like making a fool of myself. Sauce everywhere on my face. And then like other people came in, and we like got to hang out and chat amongst everyone else, so it's like it's private, but it's public.
It's a community. It becomes a
Listen
community.
My mouth is now watering. It was really
a destination. Good. I'm just concerned, was the sauce gluten-free?
Yes, it was. It was. I was totally fine. It's like, and again, man, it was a cool spot. Split Rail. There it is.
Imagine that on soccer match day, and the amount of people that are going to be coming through Garden City, creating a whole experience while they're there. Not just pulling from Garden City, but across the valley, even broader, attracting people from outside of the state. We've got a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that that's going to be on the West End, or that's necessarily going to be, south of Shannon, but it's definitely going to be there right along the Greenbelt. And we've got to find ways to bring people to those events aside from just down Shandon.
Yeah.
Aside from, down Glenwood, because during the Western Idaho Fair, anybody that lives over there, we can tell you our pain points and, commuter times. And that's just the result of a growing city. We need to be really thoughtful about it. What do we want? Again, we can't do everything, but we can do a lot.
God bless it. Well, listen, one love, Split Rail. I'll be back. Thank you for coming in today. Thank you for what you're doing for Garden City. And thanks for running the campaign. Like, we need people to stand up and articulate points and come up with visions. And, we share them all. There's the marketplace of ideas. And then God bless it. Some of them work.
Well, I appreciate the invitation.
You're welcome.
Appreciate the coffee and the great conversation.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
We'll do it again.
All right.